Well, hello there, model railroaders. This is the Train Freak talking to you today, and I'm going to talk to you about operations and how I plan on using that on my layout. Now, of course, you know that my layout's not fully built, but it's getting to the point to where I can start maybe doing a couple of things. Now, before we go into there, the first thing I want to remind you is to click the bell and fill the bell in so that way you receive the future notifications. And if you like this video, like it and comment and share. Now, before I tell you my methods, first I have to give credit to IamRROCom, Eric Hall. He is the guy who, presented to me this software in one of his videos. And even though what I'm about to show you he does as well, but there's one thing that I know I do differently that he does not do on his layout. Now, we both use a piece of software called My Trains from Shenandoah Software, and they also have another piece of software called Waybills. Now, if you purchase them individually, you're going to end up spending more than if you was to purchase them together. So before we get in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you step by step how I get ready to catalog one of my cars and create a thing called a car card. Now, the car cards are to represent the actual car that is on the layout, and these car cards, they basically have a little pocket that we're going to insert something called a waybill inside. So the car card represents the actual car, no matter if it's a locomotive, if it's some type of rolling stock, or even if it's a caboose that is on the layout. The only cars that I do not use a car card for is like passengers. There's really no reason to use a passenger for operations unless you plan on running like a club size layout and you've got 6 or 7 cities. And then maybe you're dropping a car off in a yard on the way that might be destined for another route, kind of like how Amtrak does. Enough of that. But today I'm just going to show you the car cards. I haven't got as far to the waybill software yet. And like I said, waybills, it only shows what that car is carrying and where it's headed to. Alright, so let me break away from here and I will go get set up. And I will show you each phase of how I input these cars into my MyTrain software and how I make the car cards. So I will be right back here in just a couple minutes. Okay, so I had to swap cameras because I'm actually going to use my phone camera, which has a really good quality, to actually take the pictures of the train cars that I need. Now, right here I do have 3 car cards that I have already created, and I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm just going to kind of show you one of them. I'm going to show you this Ashley Drew Northern. Alright, so this is an Ashley Drew Northern. Now, LO6, that represents LO is a car code for covered hopper. 6 is something that I added in there to represent basically stating that this car is less than 60 feet. If it was less than 50 feet, then I'd have LO5 there. ADN represents the road name. 3003 is the car number. Now, further on, of course you can see there's a really, really good picture of the car. It's kind of hard to see the road names and the numbers on there, but either way it goes, still a good picture. Now, if the car does have a return, such as this car here, it says empty car returned across at Arkansas. Now, if there is an actual waybill, the waybill will cover this up. And then the 274, that's actually the actual build date of the car. And I use that because, it makes no sense if I decide that, okay, today I want to run in the 60s, but yet I've got cars that were built in the 70s and 80s on the layout. It makes no sense. Or if I start running some locomotives from the 80s, that I've got cars from the 40s on the layout. That's a 40-year-old car. It should have been scrapped by now. So that's why I do that. Alright, and then of course, like I said, here's a little pocket that the waybill will go into. Alright, so step 1, I've got 3 cars here. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm actually going to move this camera over to where you can see what I do. Now, I went with a solid backdrop. This is in my kitchen in my house. And it's one of the counters. The counter actually curves up, and it makes a perfect backdrop when doing this. Now, I just went and grabbed 2 pieces of Atlas stick track, and I felt like this is long enough because really all I'm trying to do is get 3 cars on the track so that way I can just take a picture of it. Now, if you have a layout that is full, you know, up and going, a really cool place to do this would be in a yard setting to have, you know, other cars in the background. Okay, so now I'm using my cell phone, and I'm going to, you probably just saw my GoPro right there. So I'm going to get my phone set up to where I take a picture of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just snap a picture. I snapped the first one. I'm going to take the first car, and we're going to slide her down the track. And probably better if I had a longer piece of track, but I know a full piece of flex track does not fit on this counter. So sometimes they say you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, that's totally true. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of the next car. Take the first one, and we're going to move it to the back. And I don't know why that's not wanting a couple. There it goes. And I typically like to do 3 cars at a time, and I'll explain why here in a minute. Alright, so now I have all 3 cars that I have taken pictures of. So, before I break away, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what my next step is. I'm going to get these pictures transferred off of my phone to my laptop that's got the software on there, and then I will show you how I edit that software. So I will be back here in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so now you can see that I have the 3 cars right here in the folder where the rest of my cars are. Now, one of the things you can notice is that these 3 images are a whole lot bigger than the other images, so I'm going to show you how I go and resize that. So I'm going to start with the CNH sugar car, and I'm just going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on edit. This will open it in Microsoft Paint, and the first thing I do is I go up here to resize, and I'm going to pixels, and I'm going to resize that to 500 pixels horizontal. I'm going to leave the maintain aspect ratio on, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Now it makes it a whole lot smaller for me to work with. Now I'm going to use this up here, which is the select part of your picture. I'm going to click that, and I'm basically going to try now to crop out the other 2 cars. Now it's okay if I get part of them, but I want it mainly focused on that 1 car. Alright, and then I'm going to hit the crop button, and then I'm going to go back and resize. I'm going back to pixels. This time I want it at 400 wide, and that's because the rest of my pictures are at 400 wide. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to hit save. Alright, and then I'm just going to close it out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click that same picture. I'm going to rename it. And this car is, I'm going to bring it here in front of the camera. See if there it goes, it's focused. UP960082. So that's what I'm going to name it, UP960082. And then I'm going to press enter. And it moved that car down to the bottom. I'm going to go up and do the same for the next one. And ironically, these are all UP cars. Whoops, I did not mean to rename it. I meant to edit it. So there is a lot of repetition. Now, earlier I mentioned that I do 3 at a time, and the reason being because when you print these off on cardstock, and yes, you need to use cardstock, don't use regular letter paper. It's just too flimsy. It will print up to 3 card cards on 1 sheet of cardstock. So if you're only doing 1 at a time, and cardstock's a little more expensive than regular, copy paper, it's just best to go ahead and save and do 3 at a time. Now, the other thing that I do is I always make sure that my cars have the metal wheels and the knuckle couplers. So if they're not ready to go on my layout, I'm not taking pictures of them and I'm not cataloging them yet. I'll wait till they are ready to go on the layout. Alright. Now this one here, we can pretty much see, that would be this car. UP74444. UP74444. Alright, and that moves it to the bottom of the list. And then I'm going to do the last one, which is Ajax. You know they say if you can't clean something, use Ajax. Alright, we are going to edit that one as well. We're going to resize it to 500 pixels wide. I'm going to do my selection. Whoops, I did not get a good selection on it, so I'm going to click on that again. There we go. It's a little easier to do it when you've got a mouse and not a laptop trackpad like what I'm using. Alright, and we're going to crop that. We're going to go back and resize it, pixels to 400. And we're going to save it. Now the reason why I'm going 400 wide is because that's just kind of, you know, it basically gives the full width of that car card. Alright, and this one is car number UP431101. Alright, so let's rename UP431101. Okay, so now we have resized our images, so I'm going to go ahead and close this directory out. Close that out, and I'm going to open up my MyTrains software. And I'm going to show you how I input each of these cars in there. Now, this is what the software looks like, and I hope you can read this. But just to kind of explain, you've got your steam locomotives up top, diesel, electric locomotives here, passenger cars, freight cars, non-revenue cars. This is how I catalog mine. Now, when you get the software, it comes up with a whole bunch more, but, you know, I'm simplistic. Now, if you're asking, what is a non-revenue car? That's going to be your cars such as cabooses and maintenance away equipment. These are cars that the railroads use, and they're not making any money off of it. Okay, now I'm already in my freight car list, and you can see that I've got a list of all my car names here, road numbers here, and then you can see some that's got pictures attached. Technically, they all should have pictures attached, and I don't know why they're not attached, but it could be a glitch in the software. And then if we look on this side here, you can see just the rough description of the car, and if there is an image, it's there, and when you put your mouse on it, it actually kind of blows up to where you can see a lot of the stuff if your image is really good. Alright, so let's go ahead and add a car. So these are all three considered freight cars, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit add. Now the description on these are a 47-foot PS2 covered hopper. So I'm going to double click that, and it comes up over here. The first one I'm going to do is the California and Hawaiian. So the manufacturer on this one is an Athearn. Well, not just an Athearn, but this is an Athearn ready to roll. Whoops. There we go. Now the model, so this is one that I bought in a hobby shop that came off in this state, so I didn't get the box to this, so I do not know what the model number is. So for this instance, I'm going to leave it blank, but the road name is going to be UP for Union Pacific. And then I'll come over here and double click the name, and it comes in. This is for my road number. This is 960082. The Herald. So since the Herald on this car says California and Hawaiian sugar, or C&H sugar, that's what I'm going to list as the Herald. So instead of typing in California, I'm just going to do C&H sugar. Color, this car is white and pink. Even though the lettering is blue, I'm not going to use the blue for that. I'm just going to, the main colors, pink and white, so white and pink. So white plus pink. AAR code. This is going to be an LO for covered hopper, and because this is a 40, actually I think these might be longer than 47 foots. I think these are 53 foot, so I have to go back and change that 47. Since these are 53s, I'm just going to do LO6. The 6 stands for 60 feet, and that covers me on my track distances. So, all right, C-Hop 53 PS2 covered hoppers. All right, so returns too. So this is something that I wanted to show, and I've got a big old magnifying glass here that even has a LED light that helps when seeing things. I got this thing at Hobby Lobby for like 20 bucks. So this is what I use to really blow up, and it's probably going to be a little tough with the reflection, but I'm going to try. But, oh, here we go. Maybe. If you look on the third rib, just a little bit below the 82 and to the right, it says return to C&H sugar when empty. And then if you read over on this side, it says California and Hawaiian Sugar Company, San Francisco, California. So in other words, this returns to needs to be San Francisco, CA. Not most of your cars are not going to have that on there. So San Francisco, CA, San Francisco. All right, looking back in the magnifying glass again, and I'm just going to do this for you because it's, you know, it's kind of hard to tell over the phone. But it says this car was built in 170, so that'd be January the 70. So 1-70. So as long as I'm running trains that are, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, or modern, well, I wouldn't say modern, but at least, you know, the 70s, 80s, and possibly the 90s, this would be a good car to run on the layout. If I'm running trains back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, it'd be kind of stupid to run this car, because unless you're trying to do some Back to the Future type thing. Okay, the next thing is the load. So what load is this car carrying? Sometimes you can just leave these empty, but I would assume since this is leased by the California and Hawaiian Sugar Company, it's probably going to be carrying sugar. But sometimes, if it's like a standard box car or a standard hopper, I mean, it could carry various different things. So you could just always leave that blank. This is typically only if it's carrying one commodity. Hazmat, this is not a hazmat type car. Now, if this was like a tanker car and it was carrying like gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel, things like that, or any other type of hazardous material, like formaldehyde, yeah, that would definitely want to be in a hazmat for sure. And then, of course, maintenance dates, maintenance period, notes, any of the rest of this stuff, that's just pretty much kind of for your own information only. I kind of leave all this stuff empty. But, you know, you can add stuff in there if you want to. Now, after I get the information put in here, I'm going to go, this is what I want to show you. If you don't use photos like I do, and let me get to the car cards. And I will return to this, by the way. Here's my card. Let's see here. One card. If you don't use photos, then you can get it to where it shows the AAR code LO6, the road, UP, Union Pacific, and the number here, and then there's my build date. But if you want to use photos, it takes that away, and it actually combines all that into one line, and then it gives a photo of the car. Now, let's get the photo of it. So I'm going to exit this print. Save change, made to the form, cancel. Alright, so let's add the photo. I want to use unused photos only. And for this car, this is why I name them the way I name them. So here's our car, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it, and we're going to exit. Alright, now let's go ahead and work on the next car. So this car is done, so I'm going to set it to the side. And the next one we have is number 74444. So let's add it. Whoops. Exit out of that. All right. Description is going to be the same thing. This is a PS2 53, and I'm going to add that by clicking that there. Now I added it to the list. This manufacturer here, actually I think that other one, so I messed up. I got backwards. This one is my Athearn car, and model I don't know. Road name, UP for Union Pacific. Road number 74444. Herald. On this one, I'm going to say it is Union Pacific Railroad for right here. Some cars don't have a Herald on it, and if it doesn't have a Herald, you just leave it blank. But since this one says Union Pacific Railroad on it, I'm going to go ahead and add it. Color. I mean, red, white, and blue. This is a bicentennial car. So sometimes if it's things like that, I might throw like a scheme in there. Like if it's a daylight passenger, you know, I got a daylight scheme. I got a bloody nose scheme. I think I got a Black Widow in here somewhere. Lark scheme for some of my passenger cars I do have. Spirit 1776. I've got a locomotive and a caboose that has that, which is pretty much red, white, and blue. But since this one doesn't have a particular scheme, I'm just going to do red plus white plus blue. AAR code is going to be another LO6. Returns to, and I'm going to just go ahead and look under the microphone, and, or not microphone, but the magnifying glass. That'd be pretty hard to do, to look through a microphone. Let's see here. So I'm not seeing a returns to on here, but I went ahead and noticed my built date is 5/74. So I'm going to skip the returns to. Built date 5-74. Load. This could be anything, so I'm just going to leave it empty. And of course, this is not going to be a hazmat. So let's go ahead and add a photo to it. Scroll all the way down here. UP74444. Attach. And exit. So there's our photo of the car. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is go back to that car that I just messed with, and if you notice it's red here, that is easily enough to help me find it. The manufacturer on this one is actually a Tyco. So let me put that back in there and get that fixed. Okay, let's go ahead and add the last car, and it's going to be the same thing. This 53 PS2 covered hopper. Manufacturer is a Tyco. Model, I do not know. Road name, Union Pacific. Road number 431101. 431101. Herald. So, Ajax heavy duty laundry detergent. Just for time's sakes, I'm just going to put in Ajax. I mean, there's really no point of putting all of it. So, AJAX, Ajax. Alright, color. Blue, white, and green. I would go blue, white, and green. The only reason why I'm saying white is because of this color here. So blue, white, and green. Blue plus white plus, whoops, green. AAR code LO6. Returns to. Now this is going to be tricky because it says it's leased by the Colgate and Palmolive Company, which I have no clue where that is, and unfortunately it does not say that on the car here. I do see a built date of 10, I can't tell if that's 57 or 67. Let me look on the other side, see if it's more legible. 67, so 1067. So what I could do on this car, I can always come back and add that returns to and find out where that's at. I'm going to go ahead and put the 10-67 in there. Load, I'm going to leave empty because I don't know exactly what this car would be carrying. It says, let's see here. Caution with unloading. Consult railroad before repairing hopper body. It doesn't, I mean, it really doesn't say anything else on it. It's not as descriptive as that California and Hawaiian sugar one. So load, I'm going to leave it empty. Hazmat, I'm going to also leave that empty as well. I'm going to go ahead and attach a photo. And that one is 43101. Attach. And now we have just add those 3 cars. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take a break because I am curious to see where this car comes from. And I will come right back once I figure out where it does come from. So be back in a minute. Okay, so I really didn't find an actual, prototype car to put this on. But what I did find out is that the Colgate-Palmolive company is headquartered in Manhattan, New York. So I'm just going to flow with it and put in Manhattan, New York, because, I mean, why not? Alright, so now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to print these car cards. And you can see that I've got 3 here selected. And you can actually use the software to print actual custom labels on your boxes. But I just want the car cards. Alright, so for here, I'm using the car cards with pictures, AAR, report marks, and road number. And then down here, return empty car to, and I have it set for use value in 19 returns to let's see here. No, return to empty car none. I think it's listed as none. I'm just going to leave that. Well, let's see here. Empty car, return to, there we go. Use value in 19 returns to. So the 19 is the index over here. Well, it's actually behind the screen, but where it says returns to here, that was actually an index marker that I renamed to returns to, and that's what we're setting it as. Okay, so this is actually what it gives you a little preview of what the car will look like. So LO6, that's covered hopper 6, Union Pacific 74444. We got an image. There is no returns to on this car, so it just gives us our build date. If we go with like the CNH sugar car, you can see there's a empty car returned to San Francisco, California. The Ajax, I put in Manhattan, New York. Okay? So now I'm going to come over here. I'm satisfied with those 3 cards. I'm going to hit print. It's printed 3 car cards. There are 2 flags on each record, one for labels, one for the other for the car cards. And we're going to set the car cards print to done so that way it doesn't try to come back up. And we're going to hit OK. And now it's going to print off on my copier. Now, while it's printing, I'm just going to kind of show you something. Like I said, I'm using Cardstock. And I know that's my copier beeping over there, but I'm using this for all of my rolling stock, including, freight, any type of freight cars, pretty much. Now, if it's hazmat, it's going to get the orange. That's to catch my eye. Now, I know yellow and red is also other eye catchers. Yellow I'm using for locomotives, and the red I'm going to try to use for my cabooses. The color pack that I purchased, it didn't really have any other light colors like a pink or a light blue, so I'm trying to go with the lightest colors I can, when doing this. And I thought of red. Well, most cabooses are red, so why not red? I'm undecided if I'm going to use my maintenance away cars with this as well. Probably not. They'll probably get the white as well. And then, of course, like I said, all my locomotives, whether they're dummies or actual powered units, will get a yellow. Alright, so let me get this printed, and I will be right back. Okay, so here you can see I printed the cards, and it gives you the outline, and these are kind of how it looks like. So now the next thing to do is cut around the whole box and then cut these lines here. So to make it easier, instead of using scissors, I've got one of these big O X-Acto things that I purchased at Staples a long time ago. I want to say you can get these at Office Depot, Office Max, any of the office supply places you could get these. And it just makes cutting this a whole lot faster. I probably need to do this one first. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want a good cut. And then, now since I've cut those out, now I'm going to cut each individual card. Alright, and we're done with that thing. Alright, so now we got a little bit of trash, and we've got 3 individual cards. Now there's a reason why you've got a line here and a line there. This is actually your fold line, and this is what you're folding to. So the next thing I'm going to do is take it, and I'm just going to fold it straight up to the line. Scotch tape. Just get you a couple of small pieces. And ta-da, now you have a card and your way bills can go inside. And that's really all you have to do. And I will go ahead and do these 2 off camera. There's really no point. And then I will come back to you later on at my layout and show you exactly where I put these and how I put these in. So I will be back here in a little while. Okay, so here I've got our 3 cards that I just made, and I have the 3 copper cars here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to add these to yard track number 3 because I already have 3 cars there. So I'm just going to add the first one. And I'm going to take the card that matches it, and I'm going to put it in the top of that stack. So basically the top card is going to be the leftmost card that is on that track. So that was the next one I put in, the Ajax, to match with the Ajax there. Last but not least, Californian sugar, or Californian Hawaiian sugar. Goes there. And that's all there is to it. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this and find this, this information useful. And like I said, make sure you subscribed if you haven't already. Hit the bell, and make sure you fully shade in the bell so that way you receive the future notifications of videos that I put out. I will be doing another layout update in a couple of days. And like I said, if you like it, thumbs up and comment on your thoughts. Alrighty, y'all have a good one. Be safe out there, and happy railroading.